Through the dark I'll follow on. With the crew beside me I'll keep reaching for the light beyond the rim.
3 months had passed since the fires, since the betrayal, since the Vulture crew had crash-landed into Scarlet's worst day and refused to leave her to face the ashes alone. Namarihari village sat under winter's quiet, heavy hand. Snow muffled everything. The sound of boots on frozen dirt, the creak of rebuilt walls, even the breath that left their mouths in pale ribbons. The colony had survived the fall, but winter did not care about survival. Winter wanted payment, and it collected in meat, in warmth, in time. Bless was the first one awake every morning. Long before the sun climbed the horizon, he was already at the North Ridge with his sniper rifle braced against his shoulder. Breath fogging around him like smoke. The wildlife had thinned after the fires. Some fled, some died, some had simply never returned. Every shot Blaise took mattered. Every carcass he dragged back through the snow meant another day of meals. He never complained. Even when frost iced the inside of his mask, even when his fingers trembled from cold, he only said, "Someone's gotta feed the kids." And he meant all of them. His daughters, Sella's son, the village orphans, the animals, the visitors, the elders, even Scarlet, who kept forgetting to eat during long planning sessions. Winter wasn't cruel, he told himself, it was simply honest. Inside the Vulture housing wing, recently converted into a temporary home, Sella leaned over a basin, washing fruit with slow, careful movements. Her belly had begun to show, small but undeniable. She pressed a hand to it absent-mindedly. Emma waddled in behind her with her hood down, one hand on her lower back, one balancing a tray. Sella smirked. "I thought I was supposed to be the dramatic one." Emma grunted. Scarlet told me to sit down, so obviously I refused. They laughed softly, exhausted, warm, overwhelmed in a way that only expectant mothers in a dangerous world understood. The babies weren't planned. Nothing ever was out here. But both women had that same look in their eyes this season. A quiet, terrified hope. Sparky carved insulation boards nearby, pretending not to listen but glancing over every time Emma winced. "You need anything?" Sparky said, voice steady but eyes soft. "You tell me, both of you." They nodded, grateful. Scarlet, limping only slightly now, had taken it upon herself to get the bed and breakfast side of the colony running again. Silver had run dry. Winter demanded resourcefulness. So she repaired the solar heater, fixed the cracked glass panels, polished the worn wooden floors, and hung new signage. Hotel Marihari is officially back in business, she announced to no one, then to everyone, depending who happened to walk by. Their first guest arrived 2 days later. Chang, tall, bundled in a fur-lined coat, carrying 2 pulse rifles on her back. She bowed politely at Scarlet. Her jury opened. She said, "I'm looking for a warm bed. Maybe a place to trade." Scarlet eyed the weapon. A spare rifle for a few weeks' stay. Chang smiled. "I can work with that." Chang followed her inside, glancing at the walls still bearing faint scorch marks. "Someone gave you hell, someone got it back." Scarlet replied. The colony moved like a single organism. Slow but steady, wounded but healing. Goadlo ran her shop again, the bells on the door jingling softly. Whenever a villager or child came in for winter gloves or herbal salves, she hummed as she worked, white fur blending into the frost outside her window. Masao sharpened tools near the courtyard fire, coat wrapped around him like a shield against the cold and the memories. He still looked over his shoulder whenever shadows shifted, old instincts, not yet softened. The children gathered snow in buckets to melt for water. Hardy managed to do it without gagging this time. The memory of the medbay blood smell had finally faded. And somewhere in the far forest, a rifle cracked. Blaise landing another shot. Silver trickled in from hotel visitors. Food stock stabilized, walls were repaired, the fires were gone. But winter was far from over. And the next threat was already beginning to stir at the edges of the map. proximity beacon shriek to life just past dawn. Its harsh metallic blare echoing over the frostbitten valley. Scarlet dropped her breakfast bowl. Blaze was already on his feet before the second alarm pulse hit. Mechanoids from the asteroid ring, ancient, feral and single-minded. They did not conquer land or raid for wealth or negotiate. They harvested neural signatures, brains, memories, everything that made a person human. No one knew who built them. Emma wiping her mouth with the back of her hand. Still sick, Scarlet asked. Emma gave a small, miserable nod. It'll pass once we're moving. Stella tried to reassure her, though she was out of breath too. Her hand resting protectively over the swell of her stomach. Both women looked like they should have been in bed, not gearing up for a mech assault. But they all knew the truth. The beacon had to be destroyed before the mechs established a swarm. Blythe knelt first, breath white in the air as he sighted down his rifle. "I'll take the beacon," he whispered. Scarlet nodded, tightening her grip on a needle gun. The shot rang out like a crack through ice. The beacon sparked, flickered and died, and the mechs woke. The ground shook as the dagger snoot charged, its tusks carving twin lines through the soil. It went straight for Stella. Scarlet shouted for her to move, and Stella threw herself sideways, landing hard on her shoulder just in time to avoid being skewered. Sparks shot in every direction as the vultures opened fire. The thing was fast. Stella was already rising again. Axe in both hands, she swung with all the strength she had left, letting the weight of the weapon carry her through the cold air. They didn't get a moment to breathe. A Miller stepped into view, its twin shotguns humming as steam hissed from its vent. Masao didn't wait, he loaded an incendiary round, bracing himself against the stones. "When it clears the arch," he said softly, "I'll take it." The Miller passed beneath the crumbling arch of the old watchtower. The rocket screamed down. Flames erupted across the snow, lighting up the ruins in a burst of orange as the Miller shattered into burning fragments. Then the air glowed blue, pulse beams lanced over their heads, carving molten streaks wherever they landed. A Cyclops emerged from the drifting smoke, towering above the others, its single optic burning hot with scanning light. It fired again, vaporizing half a stone pillar. Emma fired back out of instinct, teeth clenched against a wave of nausea. Masao loaded another incendiary, was adapting. But Stella was already moving. She didn't wait for anyone else. She ran, not fast, not with the weight she carried, but with absolute certainty. As Masao fired again, the rocket struck the Cyclops' shoulder, staggering it sideways. Sparks flew out in a halo. Stella lifted her axe, screaming from effort as she drove the blade straight into the glowing optic. The machine convulsed once, twice, then toppled backward into the snow with a hiss of cooling metal. Silence followed for a moment. The only sound was wind. Only two turrets remained, rotating. Searching, Masao stepped forward deliberately, drawing their fire, sparks showering off his coat. Blast took his position behind a half-buried barricade, steady as the winter itself. One breath, one shot. First turret gone. Another breath, another shot. Second turret collapsed into a smoking heap, and finally, the field was quiet. Emma slumped against a broken wall, hand over her stomach. "I'm not doing that again today." Stella offered her a hand. "We both say that every raid." Sparky brushed snow off Masao's coat, shaking her head at the scorch marks. "You smell like burnt carpet." Masao only muttered, "Better burnt carpet than burnt Masao." Blythe scanned the horizon, lowering his rifle once he was absolutely certain nothing else was coming. "We're clear," he said softly. "Beacons destroyed, no swarm."
We've come so far across the silent stars, chasing dawn beyond the edge of sight. And I'll go where my heart keeps calling. Through the dark I'll follow on, with the crew beside